hey, you gotta lose interest, well, that would be interest again, yeah? You see? So every little move, any move is like tightens up the little Chinese thumb thing, yeah? Any move. Your moves to get out, tighten it up, yeah? Your slick non-moves, tighten it up, yeah? So really, it's not giving you any real room to move. It's hopefully when there's a sense accumulated with an understanding, there'll be a rude awakening. So this action figure itself will realize it can't produce the goods it wants to produce. Yeah. In other words, it can't travel lighter. So, but it can express traveling lighter, and it can observe traveling lighter. Yeah, it can come to a point where it's traveling lighter, and it observes that. Not usually too quickly, but it picks up on it sooner or later. And so now it's arrived at where it wanted. I guess we needed more chairs. It arrived at where it wanted to be. Yeah. But it wasn't the vehicle that got it there, yes? It arrives at traveling lighter, but it doesn't have anything to do with it, really. Yeah. What it has to do with is, there's an expression coming through. It's clearly not you, the you that you've come to know by the constant recollection of it and projection of it, yeah? And you see, by observation, you see the expressions of something other than what you would call you. And you arrive at what you wanted, which is traveling lighter, but you arrive there in a sense of humility because you didn't have anything to do with it. Yeah, it's super clear, yeah? So I saw it like when I was younger, because in AA, somebody, in my third year, somebody wanted me to do this workshop, lead a workshop in AA. So at that point, I would say yes to most requests. That's one of the things you learn in recovery. Yeah, I'd say yes to the service opportunities. So I started to do it, and it was clear what was coming through I had nothing to do with, yeah? And then I had this idea of non-duality, and so the thing morphed from a fourth step workshop into something else. And then people were coming with pens and pencils, and they were pissed because it was like false advertising, because it wasn't what the topic of the seminar was. Because I felt, what's the more valuable? Having exquisite, very engineered specifically to deal with problems, or not to have the problems to deal with? I like the latter better. I'd much rather be free or outgrow resentment than knowing how to manage it. Yeah, I'd much rather outgrow fear than knowing how to deal with fear all day. It just would. It just seems like, so I was in the business at that point to share people of how to manage fear, really, how to deal with resentments, and then suddenly a new solution was coming through that was like fucking total economy, totally economical. It's like, yeah, those things are necessary if the same effects are being produced by a certain condition called self-centeredness or obsession with self. When you outgrow that condition, those things don't come up as much. So one of the greatest arrivals is when you don't need the tools, to me. So I lost interest in the nuts and bolts that I was supposedly leading people in these workshops, because I found this is like a supersonic solution. Yeah, it's such a solution. It's actually before the problems I was dealing with. Yeah, it's before them. It's not like a solution to the problems, only to have more problems based on the solution. It was a solution before the problems. And from the solution before the problem, you're seen as the problem. Really. This is seen as the problem. Not bad, there's nothing right or wrong with it. you see that this is the blindness. This is the obscuring agent. Yeah, and it's once you start seeing that, you're not going to keep polishing its mirrors. You just fucking, you lose interest in, buffing the idea of Paul. You just do. And lo and behold, when all that stuff stops, that which you could only imagine as a goal through tons of toil and effort arriving at, you're chilled out. Yeah. So you don't get the package, you don't get the rush of arriving, you don't get it, yeah, but you are it, yeah. Which is so much more substantial and reliable than getting it. Because if you get something with that attitude of the head, you can lose something. So, if you have peace, let's say, and you're also in time, that peace is probably not going to last because your head's going to say, am I going to be peaceful tomorrow? So it goes, yeah? So what this totally is of, which is of time and thing, yeah? It's like, you hear there's a great party and every time you go it sucks, and you don't realize your role in turning the party into a sucky party. What's one to do? I don't know, find out. I mean, it's a nice stopping point, it is. And then maybe you'll see, you're not gonna see seeking while seeking. You're not gonna get clear on it, you're just not. Because the seeking is the blindness, yeah? But when that stops for a period of time, then you can see a lot, yeah? Because you get a really good point of view when a lot of this stops. I'm not talking about the physicality, I mean the mental, the emotional is very agitated. It's constantly going off. It doesn't see clearly. If something can throw a wrench in the works and the system stops, a lot of stuff that was really readily available, but not to you, downloads, yeah? And you get to see, you learn a lot about what you're not, really. That to me is the value. I don't want to, why would, there was, we used this thing because it was just a good one when it happened. I was speaking at this spiritual bookstore years ago, and they used to have tons of new books, self-help, have all this shit coming in. And I was standing there talking to the lady who hosts the talk, and there was a big book, 900 pages about, and its title was Consciousness. Yeah, which we're conscious, aren't we? Yeah. So I was saying, why would someone that's conscious read a book about consciousness? You are. You're the topic of the dissertation. So I was that's insane. It's insane. All right, let me describe what I actually am. No, describe what you're not. That's value. Because if I'm humbly sure of this, humbly sure of it, completely sure of this, there is the act of being identified as something that you're not. That's what's occurring. What we're relying on, the thought system, the memories, the perceptions, are programmed, and the programming is always in the act of being identified as the doer, the thinker, the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the one that was there, the one that's going to be there, therefore it is here. All of that, yeah? That is failed. It's unreliable, yeah? Because it's based on a mistake. It is. And it's sort of like, we used to tell a story about an alien planet. They had some scientists, and they were sent to study a population on the planet Earth. They had a 10-year plan, research, paid for everything. They land on the planet Earth, and they're in America, and they check it out for 5 minutes, and they call up their planet and say, we're coming back. They go, what do you mean? You just got there. You got 10 years to study. He says, we've learned all we need to know. And then the guy goes on the other end, what? He says, any society that has profit over health is insane. Really, it is literally insane. I don't care how sane it looks up here, it's insane. So let's move on. You know what I mean? The same thing. If you see the vested interest in reinforcing the system isn't your interest, you'll see the failure of the system. You won't have to go through 40 years of its effects to maybe realize it. You will see what you're not. Yeah? And then it explains a whole lot of stuff that you had to make up huge narratives to try to explain. Yeah? You'll see it wasn't that you didn't kiss the guru's feet long enough. It wasn't that you didn't walk around that statue long enough. It wasn't that you didn't meditate long enough, or you're not sincere enough, or earnest, or devotional, or this and that. You can't use yourself to find yourself. And being that, there's no need to find it. Yeah? The assumption that it's not there causes the drive to find it. The assumption's off. You're completely here. Now. All the time. Like it or not, I don't give a shit what you say. You've never not been in the fucking moment that you're in, ever. You can't be out of the moment. Yeah. So the system makes up some insane possibilities. Hey, you can be out of the moment. Yeah, but if you look at the surveillance camera tapes, you're there. Yeah. Oh, I wasn't at the meeting. Yes, you were. There's the fucking... There's what you're calling you. You were right here. Oh, but I was so far away. No, you weren't. You thought you were so far away. The thinking makes it so. That doesn't make it so. The thinking just makes shit. What makes it so is belief in the thinking. And where is the belief rooted in the thinking? That you're the thinker. That's where the belief lies. The belief that you're the thinker causes you to have a very, very strange relationship with thoughts. All of them are seen as yours. And as soon as they're seen as yours, they can have you. They can ruin a day. One thought. Not yours. Your thought's not going to ruin my day. But the same thought held as mine does. You don't see that? You think that's off? Check it out. Someone talks to me, they're totally fucked. Yeah? By August 15th, in July 28th. They're at July 28th, but they're totally fucked right now based on August 15th. They're so concerned about something that they believe is going to happen, it's overriding what's happening. This isn't a random phenomena. This is all day. All day. You know, we have the big ones, but there's tons of little ones. Yeah? The thoughts... So Charlie has a thought. I feel sorry for him, but it doesn't affect me whatsoever. The same exact thought, held as mine, has a huge amount of power. You don't see that? You don't need like 100 hours of observation. It isn't like a PhD. You see it for a few minutes, see it. It just repeats constantly. The mental state lives in a fairy world of what's not happening. That's the fact, yeah. It wants its enticing interest and attention to go to those what's not happening to a point where it overrides seemingly what's happening. And it knows the only thing that the interest attention is going to travel for is you. So when a memory is about you, you're very attentive to it. When there's thoughts about your life, you're very, very attentive to it. Even if they're 30 years ago, some incident, yeah? You're never going to think of an incident in Stanley's life 30 years ago if you're not Stanley. You're not. Don't have any interest in it. Yeah? But if it's Paul, you may be going back there, your head will be going back there day in and day out. You know, fanning a flame, keep it like, giving it life all day. Yeah. The act of being identified as self is the obscuring gauze. It's like a saran wrap that's constantly being, because there's a reliance on memory, yeah? Because it's how what we're not is remembered. So the memory pictures us as bodies. That's what it does. When I remember being in Mexico, I remember a body. When I remember being in Australia, it wasn't, oh, there's my spirit hovering above Melbourne. No, it's Paul and St. Kilda's, yes? And then, all right, so there's a remembering of Paul, but then when your future, when the thought system is worrying about the future, that's another form of remembering Paul. You're remembering Paul as a body, worried about you as a body in the future. So it goes, it's so, just see it. It mimics exactly what's so. What's so is there's an I am or an onness. What the mental state does says there is an I was, and an I will be, and therefore an I am, Paul. Yeah? It can't arrive, and it's not there at the I am, so it has to arrive there. So it arrives there by I was, I will be, therefore I am. That's its freaking logic. And if you're relying on it, you fucking believe it. Yeah. It's called the bondage of self. So what would it be if there was just selfing, which it is, yeah? Selfing, believed in, is the bondage of self. So selfing implies that there's a you, that there was a you, there's gonna be a you, that's fine. You know, selfing is just another activity. But believed, yeah, you're cast suddenly as the self. That's the bondage of self. The bondage of self is produced by adherence to selfing. Truly, yeah. So the disease never happened. You're not a self, but it says it's already been the case. It's unbelievable. It's so, in a way, it's beautiful. It's sort of like if a fish, let's say consciousness is just there, and there's a fish, and the consciousness, I mean a hook. The consciousness arises, takes the hook, the selfing, and suddenly it's a fish. It appears that it's a fish. And not only that, right then and there, it feels like a historical fish. It has a whole story of being a fish. And then has a projection of a continued story of being a fish. Just like that. It's the arising of selfing. Yeah? The narrative is all day, assuming, implying, inferring you all freaking day. And we're listening to it. Some of us with great attention. And therefore, what happens? Well, what's not happening produces effects now. The Course in Miracles would call them causeless effects. So something that's not real is causing effects that seem real. It's mind-boggling, eh? It's magic, really. And it's an incredible, miraculous activity. You know, Jesus supposedly brought someone back from the dead, but the guy was alive at one point. We're making shit out of nothing all day. It's unbelievable, really. I watched a lady totally flipping out about August 15th, July 28th, completely. If you apply a solution to it, what? Maybe because it's not on video.
It's not on video. Yeah, it is on video.
No, well,
Okay.
It doesn't want to record it tonight.
Now it's starting again.
All right, start again. You missed it. You missed the secret handshake. It only comes every 5 years. Sorry. Yeah. Maybe if you give me large enough donations, I can make it for you. So there's a freedom. There is. It's not going to look like freedom from after the bondage. It ain't. You're not going to be probably on a cliff with the wind blowing, with girlfriends and ex-girlfriends looking at you adoringly. Oh, Paul's giving it up. He's surrendering. No, it's going to be looking like a regular day at the office, but you're going to be awake to being awake. It's as simple as that. You never get gypped. All the yapping that tells you you're asleep or you blah, 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 you don't have much weight in it anymore. You're just fucking done with it. Yeah? You realize this ain't getting it completely. No freaking way. Yeah? That this is actually the obscuring agent that has a story that it wants to become clear. It doesn't want to become clear. Yeah? It's an obscuring agent. See it. It's like going into those little amusement parks where they have all the little toys and then you have a crane and you're trying to, and yet all our knowing and can't get it. You can't get it. You can't get what you are. Yeah, because you are it. You know, sorry to break the news. Now, if you don't believe that, then fucking go and start working towards your authentic self. I don't care. And if you really believe you need to do something, do it, because you're playing God. You're dreaming. So if the dreaming says, the only way I can get close to that truth, which I am, is through something, well, at that point, when you really believe that, you better freaking do it. Don't apply like a fucking weak salsa of non-duality on it as a philosophy. It's not going to work. Yeah? It isn't. You've already set up the game. I gotta do this, this, and this, and this, and this to be able to get it. All right. Well, hopefully, if you do this and maybe another this, you'll see something that it's freaking failed. You know. So suddenly you stop using what you are to find what you are, and what happens? You find out about it. Yeah. You can't know it, you can't experience it, you can't understand it, you can't have it, you can't lose it, which is awesome. Yeah? So now, instead of trying to find it, you find out about it. Yeah? Never through finding it. Yeah? But by the relinquishment of all the meaning that was in all of that, just poof, and then you start finding out what you are. And then those weird cryptic statements in the spiritual books make sense. Hey, the seeker is the sought. Yeah? What's looking right now is what you're looking for. Now, if that's someone just throwing you an idea, you think you're looking for maybe thousands of things, like you're looking for, transcendence or whatever, enlightenment, but really, St. Francis was basically saying, what's looking for enlightenment is what you're looking for, not the fucking enlightenment, but that which is what's looking. So what would happen? All right, here's that thing. It wants to look. All right, let's get a latte, find a pair of pants, find out how to build a small carburetor, do shit like that. That's cool. But if its goal targets up to the spirituality, it's no bueno, because now you're going to be using what you're looking for to look for it. That's blindness. Yes. How can you interpret it? How can you interpret Huang Po's statement? You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. What the hell? Would he say that to anyone other than the Buddha? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, Harold, come over here. I wanted to tell you this. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Oh, what? No, he was talking through Harold to the Buddha. He didn't want to talk to Harold. He realized that's pointless. He was talking to the Buddha, and he had to get through Harold. Yeah, that's the whole point. The whole point is to get through you, not to you. You getting it is you want to get through to the Buddha. And when the Buddha hears, hey, You mean I can't use myself to find myself? Yeah, exactly. And then if you don't get it that way, he says you can't use mind to seek mind, all right? You're going to be down for the count. And then the third knockout is you can't use light to seek light. So I would imagine he's describing us as Buddha, light and mind, yeah? Not as 6'2" skinny guy with a fucking attitude and a East Coast accent, you know, and a bad limp. I don't know what happened. His leg looks like a fucking bow, you know? You know what I mean? He's talking to the Buddha, to mind and light, yeah? And he's telling it, he's giving it the most perfect teaching. See what you're not. You're not Paul. Yeah? Yeah. Paul isn't going to get the Buddha. Paul isn't going to get mind. Paul isn't going to realize light because Paul is light, Buddha, and mind. Not as Paul takes itself, but as what Paul is. Yeah? All right. If you're clear on that, that's non-duality, basically. It is. If you're trying to come here, you know, and take non-duality to sort of turbocharge your Buddhist practice, I don't think it's going to work well. Because it's really a fact before everything else. Yeah? The fact is, the fact never is stated. It's the assumed fact is negated. That's the beauty of it. It's not saying oneness. It's saying not two. Yeah? And that's not a little, that's very, very profoundly clear. It's not trying to affirm what is, because it knows that doesn't work. It's negating what's taken itself to be what is. Yeah? So that which we're not is assuming it is us. And it needs that needs to be negated, so you stop using what you are to look for what you are. Yeah? Stop. You can't stop. Stop, yeah. I want to stop, stop, yeah. And then blue becomes blue and red becomes red. I swear, I had a lot of investment in spirituality because I was trying to cover up a lot of shit I took myself to be or not be. I mean, I was trying to better me, yeah, because I felt that my faults made me morally bad somehow. Not just that I was off, but bad, like I did it on purpose or shit. So I was an earnest seeker, yeah? Not knowing that it was a blindness that I was reinforcing, like Ramana Maharshi says so beautifully. There's this presupposing of a non-existent thing. What's being presupposed? That the non-existent thing is existing, yeah? The subjectness gets mixed with the objectness, yeah? So now you believe you're the one that's seeing, hearing, feeling, that you're conscious as the body, yeah? So the presupposing of a non-existent thing being existent, yeah? And then wanting to get salvation for that non-existent thing. If that's the case, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? That's what you see in the wall of the thumb torture thing, Chinese thumb torture. When you're in there, that's what's written. You see it? What? There's a presupposing of an idea that subjectness, spirit, is of body. The body is the source of non-body, yeah? Then wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing, yet at the same moment, the salvation from it is always available at all times because it doesn't exist. Yeah. So you twist it around. You see the fruitlessness of seeking to become enlightened as what you're not, and then the freedom from that, because it doesn't exist, is always readily available. because there's nothing to vanquish or kill or tame or struggle with. It doesn't exist. So the peace that you arrive at doesn't have a, you've got that one moment to get through the ever-closing gate. No, it's a gateless gate, yeah? It's totally fucking open, always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary. What great news. The pressure's off. I knew I wasn't up to the task. This thing is not a chariot of the gods, It's a Toyota at best. It's utilitarian, can do shit, express stuff, and observe what's expressed. Other people express, I observe their expressions. Yeah. But there's no cause at all in me whatsoever. Yeah. So let's say you were looking for the celestial sound of the spheres, the celestial spheres, of frequency. And it was very infrequent. You had to be in a very silent place. Now it's always available at all times. Had nothing to do with you finding it. It's you were causing it not to seem available. Seriously. And then you realize that the real drive of the mental state is to be completely unconscious, really. And then you're trying to have it sign up. It's sort of like there's a great statement by Ramana that says, hey, the greatest mystery in this whole world is reality wanting to attain reality. Yeah? So if you look at it, all right, so let's say, so obviously for reality to want to attain reality, it must be taking itself to be something other than reality, yes? What would provoke, yeah, there would have to be a disguise of the nature to make it want to arrive at the nature, yeah? All right, so then, so here you are. So I am that which is obscuring reality from itself. So we sign up and I start doing a lot of practices, and it sooner or later it comes to the thing that the conclusion is, for me to attain reality, me has to be completely destroyed. Yeah? Now, I bet you your rush to reality is going to slow down quite a lot. Because there's a huge cognitive dissonance. You haven't figured out, for me to know reality, I must be totally destroyed. Well, let's shuffle our feet a little while. I don't think I'm going to rush to the goal. Yes? You see it? The logic, the mental logic is flawed. It's flawed. It always runs into a certain point where it runs into something that's been captured by the statement, self can't get out of self. It refuses to get that. If it tries to get out of self, as self, it hits a wall, it just pulls back and gets in another vehicle. Hits another vehicle. Not this vehicle, let's say extreme turbocharged, let's say Tantra Buddha, it just constantly, it just can't get it. It just can't get it. Yeah? You want to experience your own absence, but you want to be there. To have it. Yeah. So. Well, any questions?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
So it's like this is like suchness is a sort of bonfire, or a sort of like a pure pure dynamism, a pure power.
Suchness.
this that is.
Yeah.
I mean, um, um, well, so like I want to say that that I am an energetic beingness. Um, that's what's that's as close as I can come to a sense of myself, you know.
But as what you're not. What you're not wants to have a sense of itself.
Well, it's like it's always in connection with itself. It's like it like there's a sensuous sensuous retooling of itself always.
What I would do, what we suggest here is to look, instead of looking from Gavin to that whatever suchness, look from suchness about Gavin. Yeah? Instead of saying what you are, you know, a light energetic combination, why not, this is our suggestion, is see what you're not. Yeah? And then that's sufficient. It's perfectly sufficient seeing what you're not to find out what you are. Then you won't need descriptions. Yeah? Yeah? A description about what I am is never for what I am. It's for what I'm not. Yeah? It confuses it even more. Because during the day, what I'm not doesn't think it's an integrated light body. It thinks it's Paul with, let's say, bloatedness and a little bit of flatulence or something, you know? Basically. So our thing is just, and it's just our thing. I have no problem with whatever else is being suggested, but here we don't suggest that. We have there's a direction in what we're suggesting. We humbly believe you are what you're looking for. You are what you are. And you don't need to have descriptions of what you are. You need descriptions of what you're not, so what you are can recognize it's not that. That's in a nutshell, that's what we're offering here. And I don't feel like there's any point to go on, because if this isn't clear, you're gonna wanna be fucking clear forever. Yeah? And it will be hell. Clarity will be used to produce a fucking hell, really. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't need, as they say in a lot of spirituality, it's indescribable. Why would you want to hear descriptions of what's indescribable? This is describable. Yeah, I'm very clear. I can see that. I can see this. Yeah, and that seeing of it is not of it. I'm not that which I'm seeing. There's a seeing of what's masquerading as me all fucking day, and yet it's looking, but it's not the seeing. Yeah? So all I want to have is information about what I'm not, so that what I am gets a little possibility. Hey, I'm not that. That's the whole Paul Hederman satsang for like how many years. And I don't care if other ways work for other people, far out, but I'm like a cod salesman. I'm not selling mackerel or salmon. I have a little kiosk, I'm selling cod. You can grill it or fucking sushi it, but I don't care about mackerel and salmon. That's not the seed assignment I have. You know, I feel humbly, as an observation, I feel all of that fucking doesn't work. That's the point I got moved to speak. Because I saw what people were doing with fucking non-duality. They've come to thousands of meetings and they're super pissed that they didn't get it. Because no one's told them, hey, you're not that wants to get non-duality. So maybe getting non-duality isn't how you get non-duality. Maybe seeing you're not that which wants to get it, that may be how you get non-duality. I'm just humbly sharing with the way it's occurred. I don't have agreement or disagreement with other methodologies, but that's not the directive I have. The directive I've received since I've been sharing, which I don't listen to any fucking one else, is because I want it to be an independent bakery. This is what I got to offer. Yeah, so when someone says they're the integrated light, I don't care, because what's saying it is what you're not. I want to see what you're not, because I believe you are the Buddha, you are mind, and you are light. And the Buddha doesn't spend a second describing Buddhahood. It's just being Buddhahood, yes? It sees descriptions of that which is indescribable are actually more weight. Yeah, they're actually not clearing anything up. They're promoting more blindness, in my view. Seriously. So, if people want to get help by stuff and those ideas motivate them, far out. I'm at the road I was on is ended. It's fucking over. Completely. I have no sense of spirituality in me whatsoever. Whatever. None. I never speak about this unless I'm asked to speak about it. I mean, I don't never speak with my girlfriend about this ever. I'm just here sharing what's occurred with me and how it turned out. And I don't, I think it's as clear as day. That's all I do is try to say it as clear as possible. You may disagree with it or agree with it, but at least you fucking heard it in a certain way. And that's my job. My job isn't to, check on you every year. Fucking people some of them are on a 5-year plan. They come every 5 years to one satsang. Some people leave a message, never even, on my voicemail. Oh, Paul, thanks. They're traveling later. That's the whole freaking point. As Gavin. Gavin wants to travel lighter, or maybe wants to be light, which would assume that he's traveling lighter. But Gavin can't produce what it wants. That's the rude awakening. Your wanting to travel lighter is the heaviness. That's it. And if you don't believe me, listen to what happens at these type of meetings. The word enlightenment has fucked people up. It would have been better if they never heard it. Really. An awakening. Now am I awake? Oh, I can't believe he's fucking awake. Whatever. It's just promoted so much hell. This is what happens. You describe heaven to that and it makes it hell. No, I don't want to hear any descriptions of me. I'd rather find out what I am. I would. It's brilliantly revelatory. Because you'll never sit there and go, oh, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be like. You will never have that. That will not happen. This is never, oh, it's exactly the same height and weight I thought it was going to be up here. No, it's a constantly, it just shows up the whole mental logic we're all based on. The mental logic is flawed. F-L-A-W-E-D, not F-L-O-O-R. Flawed. It's got a lot of aberrations, yes? And you, as the system, can't fix the system. Yeah? What's one to do? Find out. Maybe it won't be much. Maybe you'll do a lot. Who knows? But I'll tell you, there won't be, whatever, Look at what happened with meditation in the beginning. Remember when you first got introduced to meditation? I had like a big fucking spiritual stick up my ass. I've got to practice, every hour, every day, at least. And if I missed it, I was thinking about it all morning. I got to get home at lunch and make up the hour. Yeah, that's not fucking peace. It's another form of slavery. Yeah. So, this is just like, there's in Dzogchen, a famous aspect of Tibetan Buddhism, the great perfection. They would call it relaxed awareness, yeah? It's not concentrated, it's not focused, it's not out for the gold, it's not looking for goals, it's just checking things out. Very panoramic thing, yes? It's dispersed, yeah, it's totally different than a lot of the shit I was told to do in the past. Concentrate, focus. Some people are not meditators, they're not. Yeah? And so when they're faced with the only way I can be at peace is through meditation, good luck, bro, because you're fucked. Because you can't, their minds are so active. And then when they're doing something they love, oh, that's not improving the consciousness. Of course it is. Don't buy these little terminologies. They're defining and limiting you. Yeah, you are what you're looking for. Find out or not, you know. If you're not what you're looking for, if you're in spirituality and you're not what you're looking for, then fucking rush up on the path. You know, put in like one of those moving sidewalks and really speed it up, because you better, you only have 70, 80 years. Every second has to be important. That's a little bit, that's like an enlargement of self. I remember I used to do the Tai Chi, and this lovely woman I was with would want to, hey, go horizontal. I can't. I'm doing the forms. It was the perfect invitation. No, don't tempt me, woman. I'm doing. What a fucking insane person. Yeah, insane. Seriously. No, don't mess with me. Just want to show you some love. No. I mean, Jesus Christ. That what you're looking for is right here, right now. Don't you see that you're looking for is blinding you?
Well,
It's
no,
always us.
The,
I'm not speaking to you personally, I'm sharing. Yeah.
the thing with me is like I feel like I see it, like especially if I'm like working with a teacher and I'm on psychedelics or something like that.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then like most of the time, however, it's just like I'm doing a sort of ego yoga, you know, like where it's elusive and I try to get back to the experience or try to get in the experience again.
Yeah.
And so there are times when I feel just like the moment,
Yeah.
you know, the suchness.
Yeah.
And then I feel like there are things to be worked through, and so like then the ego mind comes forward and says, okay, I'll do that work, you know, or I'm eager to do that work, you know, and then it's like it gets sort of heavy, like you say.
You're in the wrong store, bro. Really, you're in the wrong store. This isn't what you're shopping for isn't here. It isn't, you know. We're not, you know, just suggesting, yeah. If you need someone and you need to do psychedelics, or that's how you like to do it, and you have to do ego yoga, you're not going to get much support from this meeting, too much, for me, because humbly, I think it's detrimental to you. I don't think it's advancing the cause. So that it would be, I would be conflicted, yes? So, but I also believe that we're dreaming, and if you're dreaming, the way you're going to get out of the dreaming is by doing egoic yoga and psychedelics with a teacher. You better do it, yeah, until it succeeds by failing you. Because I believe that we are dreaming here, and as the Course in Miracles would put it, we're going to dream ourselves out of the dreaming. So maybe that's what has been, that's the direction you're on. You're going to dream yourself out of the dreaming by having an egoic yoga in the dreaming, yeah, having psychedelics which are in the dreaming, hopefully promoting you to a point where you'll see through everything, yeah.
Well,
and then you'll be convinced because it was seemingly done, yeah. A lot of people can't be convinced because it's already so. They have to find, they've got to make it so to themselves, because the strength of the head needs to be convinced, yeah? So therefore, you go through some gymnastics just to convince yourself that, you know, to give yourself permission. Now, hopefully, sometimes you only see that in hindsight. You see, wow, that's exactly what was going on. This thing was playing God with the idea of God, yeah? Wow. It's called off that game, yeah? Yeah, so, I mean, I did this stuff. I spent a lot of time in retreats in Thailand, in a little kuti, not eating any food really, just drinking soup in the morning and losing a pound a day really. 21 days, I lost 20 pounds. Fucking hallucinating like crazy. I'd been meditating 13 hours a day, 7 hours sitting, 6 hours walking. No one was talking English, no one was talking to me. Saw the teacher at 7 in the morning, gave me another point to go by, and I just sat there and went off and walked around the temple and thinking mandalas were appearing and moving in different, it was just fucking awesome, but it was, so what? I mean, I can't live like that forever. You can't be on psychedelics every day. And you know, when do you get a break from the egoic yoga? It's gonna keep you on a fucking retreat for years, doing egoic yoga, yeah? I just see it as, you know, if you feel like you're in the hamster cage, you're identified as the hamster. You're the motor that keeps it going, yeah, so that's that. But I love you, I'm happy to see you. And I feel your earnestness and stuff. And that's why I'm saying, you know, there's a lot of mackerel and salmon out there. The cod will always be here, yeah? We will, and when I pass away, it'll be here because there'll be you two, so, yeah. And we love having you come here, but,
Well, I like, you know, eating lots of different things.
oh good, well.
And I do feel like we're speaking past each other, but I like your energy and I like your sort of, I don't know, your person.
Yeah, well then, we'll keep coming. That's another beautiful thing about it, is like, the action figure gets fed when it has its little ultimate goals. A lot of times we need a sense of belonging, yeah? You like to go with groups and stuff, and people like to get together and have a talk and go out to eat. It's beautiful in a lot of ways, yeah? So you're always welcome. You're a full, lifetime member of Zen Vishnu. You don't need to know that you're a member to be a member. So yeah, so is that it? Any more?
I'm afraid to ask any more questions.
That's good. That fear is serving me. Well, it's been a very nice night for everyone. We're gonna go, let's pass the basket, Keith. Thank you.
Are we done?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I'm
Yes,
done.
yes or no?
I'm done.